Our game now with Kate Hardcastle and Sam Delaney with the morning newspapers. Sam, we're going to start off with the stories making front page of two newspapers, the Mail and the Mirror. And this is the idea that if you have not informed your doctor that you still live in the area, you will be struck off the GP list. What do you make of this?
That's basically it. You've just summed it up in a better way than the newspapers have. Because how the newspapers have spun it is the GP will sack you for not being ill for 5 years. That's the way they've chosen to phrase it. But if you read through it, it makes much more sense than that. You're not being penalised for being healthy. The fact is that GP surgeries get about 140 quid from the government per patient registered to them. But, of course, if you've moved a few times, then, you know, I'm probably registered across various different GP surgeries in London from over the years. You don't notify them. So lastly, when you're moving house or postcode, you don't think I must notify the GP. But they'll still be getting money. And that's money that, of course, the NHS, who are heavily in debt, can't afford. So the idea is that if they haven't heard from you in 5 years, they write you a letter, say, are you still knocking about? If they don't hear back from you, they write you another letter. They say, listen, what's going on here? Are you coming down or what? And if you still don't respond to that, they go, well, we're going to have to strike you off the list, because if not, we're claiming money that we shouldn't be claiming.
Two things on this. Firstly, I can't imagine going 5 years without going to see a doctor, I think that sounds amazing. Secondly, surely if you move location and you register at another doctor's, then your notes get summoned over to the new surgery. So presumably that is the notification for that surgery that you've moved on.
That's been my experience. I moved just recently, and it was quite a procedure, actually, to make sure everything got transferred for the whole family and that we weren't registered at one whilst registered at the other. So it was quite organised and automated, and actually quite a pleasure to go through the process. But, I mean, in this article, they're saying they're hurting the healthy, which is just the extreme, isn't it? You know, you poor healthy people are going to lose out once again. It's just not the case. This is admin.
They're just trying to save money. It's admin to try and save a bit of money and spend it where it's more important.
And also, we should all have a bit of responsibility for what we do as well. We just shouldn't leave it to everybody else. You should have the common courtesy of saying, I no longer live. I'm looking at when I'm saying this.
Oh, well, you've done it, haven't you? You've written to your GP and said, by the way, I'm moving up the road. Come off it.
Which reminds me, I better write to that guy in Belfast. That must be
exactly.
Now, listen here, on the subject of health, that, you know, amongst many things I learned at school, very little of which is of any use to me in today's life, I really do wish I had have been taught cooking at some stage. Now, study shows that teaching people to cook really works and really does make a difference. Tell us more.
I think Jamie Oliver seems to have got this characteristic of being a bit Marmite-like, doesn't he? He's a superhero 1 minute of the good food revolution, and then he seems to have been knocked quite a lot. But here is proven study. I'm a facts person. So from 2008, he's been running healthy cooking classes, and they've surveyed, of the 800 people that have been through it, 500 of them, and their fruit and veg intake has nearly doubled, and their snacks have dropped. So it works. And I just think that we look at the pressure put on young people. If you don't have the skill set to be able to cook, if you look at fruit and veg and think, well, you know, what am I going to do with this? It's not always common sense. It's not, as you said, taught. We don't do the home economics as much in school. So what's wrong with this? And actually, it's run by local people. It helps the local community. And as you'll know, a lot of produce people will benefit from this. I think this is a win-win.
You make informed choices, better informed choices. I mean, here's how I cook. I came in last night. It was very hot. I was very tired. I hover around the kitchen, hoping that Mrs. Holmes will notice me. And I open the fridge a number of times, and I look in the cupboards, and there's still no noise coming. There's still no, do you want anything? Can I help you in any way? Right. So eventually...
1950s in your house.
Indeed. I married Doris Day, except she wasn't in a Doris Day mood last night. And then I had to find a microwave meal, which I had. A very nice chicken, or chili con carne, sorry, chili con carne.
Do you sigh a lot when you're doing it? Kind of.
I do. Oh, there's nothing here. So. But she didn't bite on this. She went and walked the dog.
I got told by my husband I needed to learn how to stoke up the Barbie, because he wasn't happy that I hadn't got the Barbie running by the time we got home.
Prepared. Cleaned and prepared, ready to go.
No idea. Not learning that.
You've got a gas one, haven't you?
Maybe,
Sam, let's talk about migration targets. The Home Secretary a bit non-committal on this one yesterday, front page of the Telegraph.
Yeah, I mean, what the new Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, has said is that they're going to drop targets because, as we know, you know, previous governments, you know, David Cameron, George Osborne, they set targets which they continually missed. Actually, not just in migration, in numerous things. And the reason we see that happening is because we live in a time where during election campaigns, both sides, we saw it in Brexit, you see it in everything, they will just claim anything. They will claim anything to just get themselves over the line. And of course, setting specific targets seems to have more of an impact in voters' minds than just saying something more realistic like, we will try to maintain migration at a sustainable level, because you just don't know what's going to happen. It's impossible to say. You just don't know what's happening. And of course, as we all know, in the current, we still remain in the EU for the time being. It's we are incapable of controlling those numbers in any case. So it was a stupid thing for them to say. So this is just like a signal coming out of Theresa May's government early doors that they're going to perhaps be a little bit more realistic and practical about the things they promised to voters, so as not to leave everyone disappointed and furious all the time.
Yeah. Talking about being disappointed, maybe not furious, we're now 16 days to go to the Rio Olympics. Whether that will include the Russians or not, we don't know. But 72% of tickets have been sold. That leaves 1.7 million, Kate, on the market.
Yeah, it's a statistic that's concerning for the organisers, obviously, although there is a black market for tickets already, and there are tickets for the opening ceremony, for instance, going for the equivalent of £953. The cheapest tickets are £8, and they're struggling with their targets. They've now reached 93% of the people are trying to reach for this. I mean, it seems to me that if it's not going to be local custom now, you're not hardly going to plan your trip to Rio, are you? So it's not the response rate that we received for London, which is 5 times less the demand on
they're
tickets.
lucky they're getting athletes at this moment in time.
Well, this is it. You've got the Zika virus. You've got so much going on that there's a lot of bad negative publicity around it.
But there always is, no matter what Olympics there are,
sure.
whether it's Sydney, whether it's Los Angeles, whether it's Athens.
Everyone said Athens wasn't going to be ready in time.
Yeah.
And here.
And
you
here,
know?
and
we
here,
were all
but it all
doubters,
happened.
weren't we?
Let's see, no, from my point of view, that there are unsold tickets for the... There are different types of people who watch the Olympics. There are people who watch the sport, and there are people who watch the opening and closing ceremonies, which I never see the point of. What I mean, that gets in the way.
What, the opening
They just
ceremony?
go on and on and on.
Oh, I like an opening
what a bore
ceremony.
that is.
I like a flag.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
You
I
like
watch
that?
about 10
In the
minutes.
countries. That might be the only time they get on camera.
Yeah, that's very
Really
true.
tedious.
That could be
Really
true.
tedious, apart from the Chinese one. I mean, you
Yes.
got to admit, the
Yes.
Chinese one was sensational.
Yeah.
All of those fireworks, I've never seen anything like it. And everyone went on about
Stadium.
Danny Boyle's one.
Yeah.
But all of those nurses dancing.
Beijing just took it.
Yeah, it just wasn't. I was like,
They
you
invented
keep your
fireworks.
nurses, let off a load of fireworks.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, Rio Carnivals, they've got it there. Maybe
yeah.
they're going to get it right.
We will be delving through more newspapers right after this short break, including... Doc Martin, the ITV drama, is filmed in Cornwall, and Prince Charles was visiting yesterday. What could go wrong, Kate?
I just think we've got to leave that to the kids, haven't we? You know, look at this brilliant picture. Apparently, this young girl, I think it's Ella, was
Ella Cameron.
very excited to see Prince Charles.
Just...
But the face doesn't say it. The face doesn't say it.
Who is he?
Am I bothered? Am I? Yeah, it's just a brilliant shot. It made me smile this morning, which is nice in papers that perhaps don't make you smile. Her dad, Andy Cameron, was chatting to Charles. He was talking about his work as an RNLI volunteer, and I think he'd also taught Prince William to surf. So you can imagine this quite lovely conversation going up. You've built up your moment, you're ready to meet Prince Charles, and your daughter just upstages everyone. Love it. Happens to me all the time.
Right, here's a debate which may take place in your house. Who speaks more, who talks more, who chatters more in your house? The men or the women? Sam will now enlighten you.
Well, traditionally, this, you know, obviously women are considered, you know, the cliches is that women will be on the phone more gossiping to their mates. But this new study suggests that, in fact, it's blokes who spend more time talking on the phone in most households. I would just say that what we really need to do is analyse the nature of the chat.
Yes.
Because that's all the difference.
The relevancy and the importance.
Precisely. Because what you don't do is just ring up a mate and go, all right, how are you?
It's
and
me,
that's it.
how are you?
There's no point, right? It's
You
like a
do that.
complete waste of time.
Do not.
If a mate did that to me, I'd be like, is this a joke? What's happening? What is happening
Simple.
now? What, you just
Are you
want to
going
know
to the
how
match
I
on
am?
Saturday? Yeah, there's a point to it.
There has to be a point.
Oh, there's no point to seeing how someone is at all, is there?
No.
You know, how are you? That's
No, exactly. Well,
relevant.
unless it's your mum. I mean, outside of asking your mum how she is, I mean, why should you care? Not a friend. So if men are on the phone a lot, presumably they're getting stuff done. That is what I would say.
Oh, you're so efficient.
So am I stalking you? Am I phoning you
No,
up,
you
chatting
phone
you?
all sorts of people and chat. It's nice, but I don't think it's necessarily...
He might have a question to ask, though. There would be a point.
I love it.